My friend and I were driving back home from the gym and we've just trained legs. So, you know, after a good leg session, we gotta eat a lot. But the problem is that my town is quite small. So every restaurant, I've already been to it a couple of times and there's nowhere new to eat. And if I'm paying, I don't want to eat the same thing over and over again. So we're driving near this bus station and he's like listing out all these places and I'm rejecting them. And all of a sudden, a big yellow sign appears in front of us. It's not aliens, it's not the moon, it's a big M, McDonald's. And we had our windows open, so this familiar smell comes in and brings me back to childhood. It's a smell of a Happy Meal. The carton box, the bun, the plastic in which the toy comes in, everything. And all of a sudden my car turns right and my eyes go black. And when I open them, I see a plate full of cheeseburgers in front of us. But what I didn't notice because of this whole McDonald's hypnosis is that my friend was yapping the whole time about how McDonald's is bad for you, trash food, blah, blah, blah. So we're out there arguing if the food is good. And he says it's not, I say it is, he says it's not. And I hit him with the old one, what if you had no food? It's good food, I say. He stops, thinks, and finally looks at me like he understands what I meant exactly. And he says, you're right. It's good food. And this moment stood in my head up until the time that I was writing this video. So I want to talk about how we should pay attention to the positions where our opinions come from, the context and the biases that we're bringing with it. A lot of times the environment in which we are conditions us with too high of expectations. So today we'll talk about high standards, high expectations, and how not to get conditioned by them and get in this place of gratefulness, minimalism, and switching in between these two levels of expectations that I'm going to be sharing with you at the end. If you're somebody that has high expectations of themselves and it can sometimes impact you in a negative way, this video is for you. Let's dive in. The question we need to start off with is, what are standards? And simply said, standards are the things and the levels of those things that we accept in our life. The common notion is that if we have high standards, we will experience more high things in life and vice versa. High things being those of more quality and value and low things being the total opposite. Okay, so now we know what standards are and we have high standards and low standards. But for some people, high standards might just be to pay off their bills. For other people, high standards might be to, I don't know, support their whole family. And for other people, high standards might be to support thousands and thousands of workers. Tony Robbins says, if you want to change your life, change your standards. But every successful person says that you should have high standards. And that means that you should elevate them, right? Yes, but there is a catch. What they don't tell you is that high standards come with something called even higher expectations. And because you read a lot of Stoic philosophy, you know what comes with expectations. Seneca says the greatest obstacle to living is expectations, which depends on tomorrow and wastes today. So what happens with high standard people like my friend that I talked to you about is that they expect a lot, but sometimes life just doesn't go the way they planned it to go. He personally expects a lot from food, so anytime he eats something that doesn't fit him well, it really bugs him, not realizing that it's just food. And that's another point, putting a spotlight on gratefulness. And this is going to sound like some guru shit, but believe me, any food is good food. Some people have none. You give people from poor parts of the world McDonald's and they jump through the fucking roof. So if something is good or bad really depends on who you're asking, their expectations, and how they condition themselves within their environment, within the place they're in. And again, I'm not saying that you should have no standards. I'm just saying that you should protect yourself from your own standards and from the expectations that arise from your own standards. And I proposed this solution that I called the two strings of expectations and standards. So about expectations. Expectations are strong beliefs that something will happen or be the case. But if you ask me, I like the mathematical definition of expectations more. And it's expected value. And you expect value from a lot of things. Businesses, books, celebrities, trips with friends, birthdays. We're taught that strategizing, planning carefully, and controlling every step of the way is the way to go, the way that we should do things, not realizing that while doing all these things, we're putting expectations on them. And that's not a good strategy. That's a recipe for failure. That's why you see a lot of young people giving up on their dreams. For example, in school, they teach you that you should have a serious business plan, a strategy, tactics, everything outlined, open up a company, you know, old school, rigid stuff. And when you actually put in all that time, you put in all that effort, and you then realize that the world doesn't work that way, you just collapse. Your expectations were sky high. You wanted to succeed, but you got nothing. You expect that when you do everything that you're told, you have to make it. Those are your expectations. But guess what? When you fail, those expectations will collapse on you. That causes pain, suffering, demotivation, and for the average person, that is the first and the last time they will try anything by themselves. How expectations should actually be managed is by letting things that you have no control over go, like the weather, politics, how other people perceive you. And I'm not trying to say that you should have no expectations, but you should have no expectations beyond of what is controllable to you, beyond of what is up to yourself. And that's where we come to my solution, the 2 strings of standards and expectations. And the first string is the high standard, high expectation one. That's where you put all your controllable things like your core values, your activities, the things you believe in. So everything connected to your ability to execute. The second string is of the low expectations or no expectations at all. And that's where you put things that you really can't impact in a high degree. So like social issues, economic status of the world, how other people react to your actions, stuff like that. So anytime you're in a problem or a dilemma or a debate, ask yourself, which string does this situation, does this conflict fall onto? Is this controllable? Is this up to me? If the thing is controllable, you better own that shit. That's on you. Go ahead and sort it out. But if it's not, be lazy. Don't do anything about it. That's one of the main pieces of advice I took from the spiritual book called The Power of Now. And the author, Eckhart Tolle, says that you have 3 options when you find something intolerable and when you don't like something. You have 3 options that you can proceed with. You can remove yourself from the situation, you can change it, or you can accept it. And if you want to take control over your life, you have to decide which one of these 3 options you want to go with, and you have to decide now. And then you accept the consequences. There are no excuses, no negativity, no psychic pollution. After you choose, it is what it is. So just try this Stoic 2-line system to ease yourself when you find that you've expected too much of something, because we can just, run and pretend that there are no expectations in our life, but we're bound to have some, so this might help. Final tip, don't overcomplicate it. You're not a special bird. You can only form an opinion about whether something works after you've done it. So don't even try and form an opinion about my solution right now. You would be like that skinny guy talking about how he doesn't need the gym. LOL. So just try this and see how it works for you, if it works for you, but try it. Hope my argument on this topic found you well, and let me know your take on this topic in the comments, because this channel is kind of scooted and sorted around me gaining inspiration by talking to people. So your opinion is to be respected and is to be listened, because I will be looking and going through all the comments. So let me know your opinion. And I'll finish with a quote from Marcus Aurelius: be tough on yourself and understanding to others. The whole idea of this video is to bury the burden of being the responsible one, the one who sets the standards, the one who expects only from his own abilities, because that's what leaders do. And if you're watching this video, I think you might have the potential to become one. Up until next time, think hard. Bye.